Help support Friendo Club by going to patreon.com/Steven Larson or clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Access to bonus episodes, question threads for the Going In Raw podcast, and entry to our monthly wrestling predictions challenges. Join the Friendo Club today. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, man, we got a lot of news, including, Seth Rollins has a lot to say about CM Punk on our Punk Daily, because Punk Daily is back for today, Larson. Get excited. Get excited. We'll get to the Punk Daily thing in just a second. I'm giving you a heads up. Also, Tony Khan, might be in hot water with some of his talent backstage, but apparently he only listens to a couple of top guys, according to Conan, so he might not give a crap. Also, a huge name coming back to TNA after saying he'd never do that. And we're going to answer
all sorts of trash about TNA.
Ooh, got that right. Yeah. Well, for what they did to him, I don't blame him. So all that, and we're going to be answering your questions. But first, it's Festivus season, and Seth Rollins has a lot to say about CM Punk ahead of what may be a Seth Rollins versus CM Punk feud. Heading into Mania season, Seth was interviewed by Jimmy Traina on the SI Media podcast. If I'm not mistaken, that's Sports Illustrated.
That would be correct.
To talk about his beef with CM Punk and whether he'd be willing to work with him. How about you take the first part of this, Lars, and then I'll pick it up from there. We'll do a tag team version of this.
Sure, sounds good. There's a lot going on here. These transcripts come to you from Fightful. Here's the first part of what Seth had to say. It's pretty extensive, and that's just including the stuff I put in here. There's a lot more to it, which we could touch on as well. Seth said the following, quote, "Everyone knows how I feel about CM Punk. I have not made it any more transparent over the past few years. Nothing has changed in that regard. In that moment," I was talking about when Punk came back, "I was extremely emotional, and you got a lot of real and raw emotion from me. I don't usually get that worked up about much, but you caught me off guard, and there was a lot of real emotion there. That's probably as much as I could say on that without going too far. A lot of it is personal, talking about what his beef is with Phil. A lot of it is stuff I don't really want to get into. For the most part, I just think he's been really selfish when it comes to his perspective on the industry. I think he's been extremely self-serving, has played the martyr role to a T, and has for someone who, when I met the guy, and look, I have a lot of good things to say about parts of my relationship with him. He helped me in places when he didn't have to. Whether that was for his own good or not, I'm not entirely sure. Regardless, it helped me get where I needed to go and to do the things I needed to do. For a guy who, when I met him, made it seem like he was all about giving back to the business, he really turned to a pretty selfish guy and wanting to take more from the industry. Look, he said some really bad things about me, talked down about me for years and this company for years. I'm talking some really bad stuff, called me a bootlicker and crap like that. You don't know me. You don't know what I stand for. I'm a loyal person. I felt pretty insulted by a lot of the ways he treated me, treated the place I worked for, treated friends that I worked with. I don't need to get into any of the stuff with Colt Cabana. If you want to look at that kind of stuff, that's out there. Just the way he treated people. And the way I felt like he's only looking out for himself. And then the way he talked about me and my friends, the people who are here putting the hard work in at WWE, trying to make this thing as good as it possibly can be, because we love the industry, truly love it, not just what it can do for us. We actually love it and want to give back to it and make it the best it could possibly be. I also felt like he's a fraud in that sense, or at least turned into one at some point in the last decade. That's the long of it. It's deep-rooted. I wouldn't call it hatred, but there's animosity there."
Clearly. That's a mouthful, man.
That's a lot.
That's a mouthful. My goodness gracious.
So some context here. So he's asked in this interview, so I watched it, at least a portion about Punk, about whether he knew that Punk was going to show up at Survivor Series. And he says, until the music played, no. Now, I'm not going to dispute Seth's claim because I don't have direct evidence to contradict what he said, although we did hear that the people in the main event of War Games were pulled aside and told that Punk was coming out towards the end.
Yeah.
So, believe what you want to believe there, I suppose.
Sure.
So there's an aspect of this interview, if the reports are true, that people in the War Games match, the main event Survivor Series, were clued in that Punk was coming out at the end. There's an element of this interview, answers given that are somewhat through the lens of kayfabe, and I mean this could be it could be a small element of kayfabe here, but very much informed by truth, you know?
Yeah, no, you got it spot on. I think that, look, I would be kind of shocked to find out that his whole big F you with the middle fingers and stuff, I'd be shocked if that was completely and totally his actual reaction, didn't know anything about Punk coming in before that. I would be shocked. I personally really believe that they're laying the groundwork for a story between Seth Rollins and CM Punk. As we've seen in the past, at least in AEW, and maybe there is an element of him needing to know beforehand, but when Hangman Page brought up the workers' rights stuff, Punk wasn't a fan of that. And that all sort of spilled out in the Brawl Out press conference. Yes. That's well-covered ground.
Yes.
It's interesting to me that, look, I guess this is my bottom line. I am interested in seeing CM Punk back on WWE programming. I think a lot of people are. In storylines that are behind the scenes, cleared with everybody, so that what we get on camera is properly executed pro wrestling and not awkward shooting on people and making it weird for the audience.
Yeah.
Look, I think that absolutely the mantra, the philosophy of we can make money off of real life scenarios, I think that's a completely valid one, and it's been played out in pro wrestling a million times.
Everybody needs to be on board, though.
Everybody's got to be on the same page. And would it surprise you at all if CM Punk was completely cool with everything that's being said here?
So it's pretty clear that anything involving Colt Cabana is a sore subject for CM Punk.
Historically, that's been the case.
So that was the one thing in here that of Seth's answer that kind of raised my eyebrows. I'm pretty sure that Seth and Colt were probably Ring of Honor at the same time, so I'm sure they know each other.
Yeah.
I'll have to double check on that, but I'd be shocked if during their careers on the independents or even working in WWE developmental, their paths had not crossed at some point. You know what I mean?
You would think so, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, so like the workers' right thing is the thing that made Punk upset is because he thought, well, I don't know if it's ever been confirmed for sure if it was or not, that was a reference to Colt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the rumors that were getting out there that Punk had cost Colt Cabana his job at AEW at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is a bit surprising that Seth would bring up Colt Cabana, but maybe it's a situation where both parties, Punk and Seth, realize if you get real and raw with this, every nerve that's exposed, you really hit that there could be some electricity there that could happen.
I hope so. Yeah.
And maybe in doing so, from Punk's perspective, using some of this stuff for him that's been obviously sore subjects, getting that out there and kind of maybe for him it'd be cathartic in a way, like he's carrying something about all that. And if you don't often associate a wrestling story with catharsis for the performers involved.
Oh, well, and the way a lot of wrestlers have talked about a lot of different, a lot of different times, it gets really personal in that ring, obviously, for a lot of wrestlers. And I think in very good ways, seemingly, and sometimes I guess in very negative ways. Just to confirm, I did find a match that both Colt Cabana and Seth Rollins, Tyler Black were involved in October of 2009. Chris Hero versus Claudio Castagnoli versus Colt Cabana versus Delirious versus Roderick Strong versus Tyler Black.
Wow, that's quite a field there.
It's quite a lineup, and I can confirm this is on Cage Match. It's not one of those 2K simulations.
It's not eFed, huh?
It's not eFed, yeah, right. It's not We Book Raw. But yeah, interesting the point, the punctuation mark that CM Punk left in his promo, where he's I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money, could inform a little bit of what we're seeing with Seth Rollins. Here's the thing also where there might be a difference. Again, if everybody's on the same page, in AEW, nobody seems to mind, and he never seemed to complain about Eddie Kingston and his promo on CM Punk saying, a lot of people in the locker room don't want you here. They don't want you near my Reese's Pie and catering. And that feud went off seemingly without a hitch. And I wonder if it was, let's get on the same page with what I'm going to say. And Hangman Adam Page, the other. And so hopefully in WWE, Triple H in that hour-long conversation with CM Punk, part of that had to do with, what are you comfortable with a feud with, for example, Seth Rollins, who is an obvious dream match situation.
Yeah.
And would you be comfortable?
There's a built-in story given Seth's comments in the past. Yeah.
Right. And would you be comfortable coming in as a guy who's, hey, I'm here to make money. I've got the brass ring in my pocket, which is a departure. And hopefully that fuels the creativity that we're going to get here. And like you said, that could be very electric. If Seth Rollins is saying this stuff without some sort of corporate blessing.
Let me check CM Punk's Instagram right now.
Right, yeah, look at his story and see if there's like, I don't know, a G.I. Joe reference, a Marvel reference, a Dr.
Some
Doom
reference about Seth sharing a bank account with his mom. I don't know.
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah. So, because here's the funniest thing in the world, Larson, the funniest thing in the world would have been if CM Punk came back to that huge ovation. And that was never seen again. I know he already cut the promo, but can you imagine if he came out to that huge ovation, immediately had issues with their creative, and never was seen again in WWE?
Oh, I know. As soon as he shows up to Raw next week, before the show starts, reports of a backstage altercation between Seth Rollins and CM Punk.
Right, yeah. Could you imagine? He cuts the promo, I'm here to make money, not friends, and you never see him. I'm home, and then you never see him again.
Never see him again.
Somebody offered up the idea of Big E coming to AEW just to give Malachi Black like a
receipt for the black mass he gave him. Yeah,
you never see him again. Just like Aleister Black did. Boy, that was funny. He just showed up, black masked him, and left.
And they got released. I know.
Oh God.
Yeah. It's the Colt Cabana line that sticks out as something that could be. That could instigate something, assuming they're not on the same page.
Yeah. You got to make sure that you guys are on the same page. So, speaking of being on the same page and working with people that he might have an issue with, and if he'd be willing to work with Punk, this is what Seth Rollins said. It's a negotiation. It's a conversation. No one is forcing something on you, but I'm a businessman for sure. I'm hoping to do business if it's there to be done. I'm open to mending fences if that's even possible. I know that might sound crazy, but I'm open to it. I'm almost 38 and I ain't got time to hold all these grudges. I think it's a lot of energy to hold that negativity in, and I'd like to put that energy somewhere else and make it positive. I'm open to all different facets of what this could be. There are certain conversations that go on. It's not a cut and dry, you have to do this. Sometimes it is. I've been in positions where it's like, this is your job. I pay you the check. This is what I want you to do. God damn it. And that's just how it is. That's okay too. If you don't like it, you can skip it and we don't have to do business. I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to stuff like that. I think there will be a way to make it work for everybody. He says he's the best in the world. That ain't the case. I'm the best in the world. I'll make anything work, no matter who it is. I assume it's only a matter of time. Whatever venue it's at, I don't know. That's not my decision to make. I just show up and do the work. It is what it is. You don't like everybody you work with. I certainly haven't liked everybody I've been in the ring with over the years, but I've always found a way to make magic out of it. If it's Seth Rollins versus CM Punk, somewhere down the road, one way or another, it's going to be magic. End quote. I do kind of wonder if, they got this Drew McIntyre thing going on. You and I have talked about a lot on the Raw reviews. And I think it'd be awesome if they did a thing where Drew in this new heel persona is able to be the guy that dethrones Seth. And then you move on to a Seth versus CM Punk. If Seth loses that title after wanting to be the good version of Roman, the guy who has the lengthy title reign but also defends it all the time.
Yeah.
But finds that is a recipe for being broken down, burnt out, and susceptible to a monster like Drew McIntyre. He loses the title, and in that moment of vulnerability, lashes out against a CM Punk. And therein lies the feud. However that's going to play out, this has got to be just a killer story. And I hope they don't let real life get in the way of what could be, as you say, electricity.
Yeah. If they let real life inform what the story is, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But if whatever animosity exists starts to invade on areas where from a storyline perspective they don't agree on things, that's when, as we've seen in the past, problems happen. With Seth, at first when Matt Riddle got brought into WWE, he was like, not working with him, not going to work with him.
Yeah.
Based on some comments that Matt Riddle's wife had about Becky Lynch. They managed to talk things out. They managed to work together. They had a program for a while. So Seth has shown that he is willing to put personal feelings aside or work things out if it means that it's good for business.
Yeah.
And so I don't think this scenario would be any different if he thinks that Seth Rollins versus CM Punk is good for WWE and good for the wrestling business, then he will do it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think that's just how he is wired. That's how he works, and I think he'll do that for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it could be really, really good stuff. I'm looking forward to having Punk on our thumbnails, and of course playing that Punk Daily theme, which I'm going to do right now, Larson. We just talked about CM Punk today. It's Friday. We just talked about CM Punk before the weekend starts. It's Saturday tomorrow.
You done?
Now it's done. Yes.
Now it's done.
Thank you for that. You thought you were like, oh man, we're almost done with this stuff. I know it was on your mind. You're like,
No, I honestly didn't think about it until you.
I know, and then I hit you with it.
Oh my gosh. Kick me when I'm down. It's easier to reach me, huh?
It's easier to reach you. Speaking of easier to reach, it's easier to reach that subscribe button when you're sitting here watching us on the YouTube. Larson, we are so close to being under 100 subs away from our goal.
107 right now.
We're 107 away from our goal of 198,891 subs by the end of the year 2023. Man, oh man, exciting stuff, because if we get to our goal, we are going to do a 12-hour live stream. Pure chaos. We don't know what it's going to be. We don't know what we're going to watch. We could do whatever we want to do within the limits of YouTube's copyright content ID system, which actually limits us quite a bit. But
yeah, a lot.
But we're very, or have been in the past, creative people. Hey, maybe we'll watch all the 10 for the win intros. That'd be a lot of fun.
That'll last, I don't know, maybe an hour.
I was thinking it'd be like 30 minutes or so. But
maybe
a lot of fun that could be had. 30 minutes booked right there. 11 hours and 30 minutes left. But that's only if we reach our goal. And you can help us reach that goal. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Hit the notify bell next to it so you're always notified when there's new Going In Raw content. If you like what you see here at the channel, help us get to our goal of 198,891. And then after that, the goal is 200,000 and two. Because that's
200,002.
Yeah. I mean, really, 199,991 is the thing. But then, like, right after that, it's like, pfft.
Yeah, it's only what, 12 more?
Right, exactly.
11 more?
Something like that.
11 more.
Yeah, something like that. So, yeah, help us get our goal. Also, like bonus episodes, question threads for the show. We're going to read a bunch of questions today. And if you're like, oh, how do I put my question in? Number one, why is your voice so whiny? That's weird. But also, number two, I can tell you, you click join on YouTube or you go to patreon.com/Stephen Larson, $5 and up a month. That reward tier, the Friendo Club setup, gets you access to the bonus shows, to the question threads, and to the monthly predictions challenges. Where's Graham? Let's see our latest.
Where is Graham?
Our newest Big Blue predictions champion, Patrick Sparks. There he is, right there. And you can have whatever picture you want, be it Graham or
there's limits to that. Not whatever.
Yeah, like we can't put like Friendo Club Big Blue on like a big dong. You know, can't be putting sausage. I mean, if you want like literal sausage, yeah. I was speaking metaphorically.
Yes, of course.
You guys know what I mean, the penis. So we can't do that. But, pretty much any approved picture that you send us, we'll put Big Blue on. If you can win the Big Blue Predictions Challenge, good stuff. And the only way you can get that is by getting the Friendo Club set up. It's available to anybody with $5 a month. Click join on the YouTube or go to patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Be sure to do also, we got brand new merch at fourthwall.com. If you use the promo code Friendo2024, you get 20%.
Is it Friendo? Is it FriendoMerch.com? Is that the URL?
I think these days, what is it? Friendo Merch or Friendo Shop? Hold on, let me double check. FriendoShop.com.
We should really know the URLs of our merch.
FriendoShop.com.
Friendo Shop, sorry.
We've changed it a couple times. It's all good.
Yeah, I know. But, should be on top of that. I should.
Yeah,
it's only our merch store.
Here's some of the merch right there. We got like sort of a Judgment Day ripoff shirt where I drew us as those old Judgment Day
really
characters.
Good. That's a good shirt.
We got like a Friendo 24/7 shirt. It's like the Austin 316 one.
Oh hell yeah.
We got some merch from Wrestle Juice, the Let Me Tell You Something. We got a Friendo Club Chicago shirt. Everybody loves CM Punk these days, and he's from Chicago. And I actually really like this Friendo Club Chicago shirt. It looks good.
It's good.
Might get one.
Can we get a Sacramento themed Friendo Club shirt then?
Yeah, like I have this rip-off Wrestle Juice Sacramento Kings shirt. We can do something a little bit more not blatant copyright infringement, sure.
Yeah,
we could
sure.
try
That sounds good. That's great.
If you get some ideas, I just don't know what.
Yeah,
Chicago is a very, very does Sacramento even have its own flag?
I don't know.
I've
lived here most of my life. I don't know the answer to that question.
Like, hey, what about like a Going In Raw or a Friendo Club like California shirt? You know that bear?
With the bear, yeah.
Yeah, and we could do something with that bear.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Friendo Republic,
the Friendo. Hey, there you go. Yeah, Friendo Republic, and it's got a bear, but it's like your head.
There you go.
It's a two-headed bear. It's me and you.
Yeah, there we go.
That's weird,
man.
A
two-headed bear and Ripley's Believe It or Not, and putting it.
Nobody wants that crazy bear shirt.
Let's talk about this. So earlier this week, we talked about reports about negativity backstage within AEW, specifically involving potentially the recent dismissal of Kevin Sullivan, not the Taskmaster, from the company. He was the vice president of post-production, I believe.
Yeah.
Had been with the company basically since its inception. The recent Wrestling Observer newsletter, Meltzer offered up some additional details of Sullivan's dismissal, as well as the outlook on that move backstage. It's what Dave had to say. Quote, the move was huge behind the scenes, particularly on the production side, since Sullivan had built the entire post-production team based in Nashville. This blindsided many people. The story going around was Mansory, Mike Mansory, he's the executive in charge of production in AEW, told Sullivan that morning that they are moving in another direction in 2024. Sullivan had no idea it was coming, was given no real explanation as to why, just that it was a Mansory decision. Sullivan's work has always been highly regarded in wrestling and out of wrestling. People in the division didn't even know that Mansory was Sullivan's boss, noting that among those who worked in production, that was never made clear. The story in production is that nobody else was expected to be cut, but it was a team created by Sullivan, so they are his guys. There was criticism from some that Tony Khan didn't step in and stop this from happening given Sullivan's tenure and work. Another person noted to us, another day one guy gone, sad, great guy, worked tirelessly since the beginning, really understood the original mission statement and feeling image we were going for. Others noted to us, not Going In Raw, Wrestling Observer, being in shock about it. Sullivan was heavily praised across the board.
Yeah. Not being there, not being behind the scenes, it's difficult to grasp what this means necessarily.
Yeah.
But we all kind of understand that Tony Khan is trying to get, a new, a lucrative TV deal, a media rights deal. And you got to wonder if this has something to do with that. It's so difficult to tell. It's a shame that this seems to have affected morale backstage at AEW. It seems like it's probably a shame in how this was communicated. Yeah. This isn't the first time we've heard that Tony Khan isn't like the best communicator when it comes to personnel issues.
Yes.
And yeah, that's just I don't know. It's
a bummer. It's a bummer. Yeah. I mean, someone who's been there from the beginning, who was seemingly very well liked and whose work was greatly appreciated. I mean, like that, you look at the video packages and such they run on AEW, by and large, they're really, really well done.
Yeah, usually that is one of the, especially when, it's one thing to criticize AEW with their TV direction, but that's not apparently what this guy was. It was about all the post-production, all the stuff that sort of was around it. I mean, I don't know what they want or what they're looking for. I thought, like you said, I think the video packages are actually really, really well done.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. I guess only time will tell if their TV production is going to see any sort of significant improvement or changes beyond what they were already doing over there. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Interesting move in advance of
who
what
knows.
could
Also
be.
Interesting here. Conan had something to say about Tony Khan.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah, on a recent episode of Keeping It 100, Conan talked about how QT Marshall's relationship with Tony Khan fell apart. These transcripts kind of from Cultaholic. This is what Conan had to say. I know for a fact this has been building up. He, QT Marshall, gets paid very well, but he was very frustrated because he does a lot of stuff, and Tony Khan is the type of guy who changes his mind last minute. He only listens to top guys, but some of them don't have the best interests of the company at heart.
So, usually this would be kind of easy to dismiss, but keep in mind Conan obviously is one of the head dudes over at AAA. You know, he's one of the major figures there, and of course QT Marshall's been doing a lot of work for AAA lately. So it wouldn't shock me if this kind of info was coming directly from QT to Conan. Yeah, because people talk, and you know. So, yeah, I mean, if what QT Marshall is saying is true, I think there was also another bit here that suggested QTV was actually Tony Khan's idea in the first place.
Oh, that's interesting.
Let me double check if the quote is here, because I actually read this on Reddit. I had like the Reddit link earlier, but I'm almost positive it said that, and if I'm wrong about that, I apologize. But yeah, it'll be interesting if QT Marshall actually gives like a full-on interview where he talks about his experience there. Because, you know, the idea was part of this was he was given assurances. Oh, it was SC Scoops had an article that stated that he had signed a short-term extension in August, and with the assurances that he would be used as a wrestler. And maybe that sort of lines up with the promo he gave. Remember they did like QTV did a backstage interview, and then he did one that sort of seemed separate from them, where he talked about wanting to defend his AAA title. Yeah, and that never happened on AEW programming. No, unless it happened on Rampage, and I didn't see it. So look, evidently the guy just wants to be a wrestler, you know. Like, and you can't fault the guy for wanting something. And it must be very frustrating. You know, we've had our fair share of criticism towards QT Marshall, but the guy is a good wrestler. I think that he does the personality stuff really well. It's just none of the stuff that he's done, which I've always been under the assumption that was sort of spearheaded by him. None of that stuff has been any good. No. Not to say that he doesn't have the ingredients, but like he didn't need to be managing Will Hobbs. He didn't need to be doing that. The QTV stuff was awful. It's not good. No. But if none of that was him and he didn't have much of a choice in the issue, then, you know, what are you going to do in that situation?
Exactly.
Especially if you have this carrot being dangled in front of you, you're going to be a wrestler. Like, I thought that QT Marshall Hobbs split would have resulted in at least a match where Hobbs got to squash the guy, you know?
Yeah, didn't happen.
But they didn't go that route.
And of course, you know, hear this line about Tony Khan listening to top guys, some of them don't have the best interests of the company at heart. There was a report that CM Punk said, I don't want QTV on Collision.
There was also something about that. Let me see if I can. Here we go. SE Scoops. So this is an exclusive from SE Scoops. I'll put the link in the notes here for you. Where it said here, if the pop-ups will stop. These gosh darn pop-ups. It's right here. Here we go. Okay. So this says, according to SC Scoops, regarding recent reports from Wrestle Purists and Fightful about CM Punk blocking Marshall from being at Collision, there's more to the story, but the two sides spoke and there was no heat between them. So even that particular story there might be some more stuff there. Yeah. So the bottom line is I really do hope that QT Marshall, just from not even from like, oh, I really want these dirt details or whatever, just to get a better understanding of the process behind the scenes in AEW, I think there could be maybe more than anybody really interesting stuff there from QT Marshall.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because there's and it seems like that so much of the backstage process of AEW just funnels right through Tony Khan, and therefore that's where the bottleneck is.
Yeah.
And to see who has his ear outside of top guys apparently, and what the process is like, getting ideas pitched and implemented would be wildly interesting.
Is it too much to speculate that when he says top guys, he's not being literal? Is it FTR Bald?
We're talking about FTR. I know.
Yeah, FTR Bald? Is it FTR Bald?
I mean,
Cash
apparently
ain't saying nothing. Cash ain't saying nothing.
Apparently it was Dax that was like, "Hey, we're gonna drop these tag titles tonight."
Tony, listen. Bill Big, he's gonna have the tag titles.
So
yeah, I don't know, man.
Who knows? I do know that we saw hell freeze over once already this year. Last month when CM Punk came back to WWE. It's happened again, Steve.
Oh man.
Okada.
I thought we reserved this for the other guys, but no,
this is a pretty huge development. The world of wrestling. Okada. It's going back to TNA. Never thought that would happen based on what he had to say about his time there. For their Snake Eyes show in Las Vegas, it's January 14th. Again, Okada's been pretty open about how he didn't really enjoy his time in TNA 2010, 2011. As recently as this past September, he said during post-match comments, quote, "Impact Wrestling, give me a break. There's not a promotion I hate more in this world, but I was a pretty big Motor City fan back in the day. A little while back, we faced them in a tag three-way. I know exactly how good they are, but this is a 3-on-3, never six-man match. And we're walking in as champions. Being the face of New Japan, I can say that I hate. Actually, I don't give a damn about Impact. Who I really hated was TNA."
Oh, come on, Kazuchika. Come on. Who you really hated were the people running TNA at the time, and it's a completely different outfit now. And if they had taken Impact Wrestling and completely scrapped the brand and took all the money and resources and roster and contracts and called it something completely different, then this would be a complete non-issue. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that him being so associated, they gave him a Kato gimmick for fuck's sake. I don't know who was running it in 20. It was probably Dixie Carter. I don't know if there's a Russo element. I don't know who was doing this stuff back. I mean,
it was definitely the Dixie Carter era.
Yeah, because Hogan came in 09, and he was there for like 3 or 4 years, and Dixie Carter was behind all that.
Yeah.
So whoever's fucking issue that was, that's who he hated. But, Scott D'Amore has been doing really, really incredible work.
Has been.
In rehabbing their image, and TNA is back, and there's a lot of positive, association with TNA, just not for the Rainmaker. But, hey, You know what?
No.
He's willing to do business with TNA now, so I guess.
So it was Hogan, Bischoff, and Dixie Carter were the leadership team during Okada's time.
What a dirt worse triumvirate that is.
Good
Lord.
Yeah. If you're like, oh, I'm excited to work with a really interesting and inspiring creative team, and you say, oh, I'm working for Hogan, Bischoff, and Dixie Carter, turn around and walk the other way.
Yeah, exactly. Get out of there. Get out of Dodge. Gee whiz. Put together a worse trio. Like Rob Black, Vince Russo, and throw me one more name, and then maybe you'll have something.
Maybe.
Rob Black, Vince Russo, and one of them dudes who ain't paying for water behind the scenes.
There we go.
Whoever that jabroni is. Man, you guys got to pony up for water? Gee whiz.
Yeah.
The wrestlers got to stay hydrated. You know what, man?
Water.
A case of water and a case of brewskis, man.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've learned.
They'll set you back at most $20.
That's one thing I learned running you and I owning Action Coast Wrestling.
Yeah.
Wrestlers love their water. They love their brew.
Yep.
Anyways, we love questions from the friendos here, so I think we're going to answer some questions now.
We will. Dylan here says, hey, friendos, Larson, I assume this is WrestleMania. You have night 1, Steve. You had night 2. Come up with the best 3 or 4 matches you can. For night 1, night 2, WrestleMania. You get night 2, so you get the Roman match to main event. So who is Roman taking on in your ideal night 2
That's a
WrestleMania?
lot of pressure, man. That's a lot of pressure. Oh, gosh. So here's the thing, man. God damn it.
Ideal. You could have The Rock take on Roman if you want to. This is your ideal.
Dude, people are going to revolt if I don't do this. Cody Roman. I mean, come on. You got to do Cody Roman.
Boring answer, Steve.
It is what, look, the other options are Roman Gunther, but then I kind of also want Cody Gunther. You know? And so then I'm like, okay, well, this isn't yours. This is mine. Don't shake your head in judgment of my booking philosophy. Steve versus Larson, you son of a bitch.
Well, I'm night 1. You can't have both world titles defended the same night, so I know I'm getting the World Heavyweight Championship match. But I want to make sure I have this one on the night 1 card because I think it's going to be awesome. Give me Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch.
Yeah, man, that's going to be a good one.
That's what I want to see.
That's a good one. Night 2, also, I'll have... we'll do this one. Io and Asuka versus... Although, man. Oof. I'm going to say Mercedes Moné, or Sasha, I'm sorry, Sasha Banks, who's back in WWE. Sasha Banks and Bayley versus, boy, Asuka and Kairi Sane would be killer, but you got to put Io. Io will face somebody for her title, but then you got to do that tag match, Asuka and Kairi Sane versus, because the tables are so completely turned in a million different directions from the last time we saw them, but talk about some fucking long-term booking right there. Sasha and Bayley versus Asuka and Kairi. Oh, come on. Totally, you got to do that.
Give me CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay, yeah. Okay, you're going to do
Punk
that
have
one?
a huge high-profile WrestleMania match that exists outside of all the other storylines, whether they do Seth before or after, doesn't matter. But for Mania purposes, give him a huge match that doesn't really affect anything else. We have this Seth-Drew McIntyre storyline. I don't know how it's going to play out. I assume Drew's going to win the Rumble, but I could be wrong. I don't want Phil being there to interfere with whatever plans they have because there's some decent stuff going on there. So let's do Phil and Stone Cold.
Let me ask you this. You've got the book, so you've creatively, whatever Larson says goes.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is on my mind. What does Austin wear?
Oh, it's the jorts and the Austin 3 and the King of Attitude shirt.
Good pivot there. This is what bothers the shit out of me these days, and it's so small and silly. So they have shifted to soft shirts.
Yeah.
The problem with them is that they make them tight up here, but so big around like when Cena comes out, right? They're so tight here, but they flow and they just on dudes with bigger bellies like me. That's fine. I like that because it's comfortable, right? Yeah. But it looks so like when Austin showed up last year or this year, whatever.
Yeah, it's like he was swimming in his shirt. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, like get one of the old school shirts that fits him better, or like have him cut the sleeves off it or something.
Here's the thing. Yeah, I was going to mention that. It's like Austin or Cena, like they got large arms.
I know,
large muscular arms, so they have to size up.
Yeah.
So they're not buying the shirt that fits them on their torso. It's to accommodate their massive arms.
I know.
Yeah,
so
I know.
You know, and like it's almost like a quitter around the neck. Like the neckline is so low on them.
Yeah, it's like almost like a V-neck.
Yeah, it looks goofy McGoofs. I think Stone Cold looked kind of goofy. So I'm going to say, look, Stone Cold, let that beef out. I would say.
Here's the thing: he wouldn't do this match unless he was in really good shape. So he's probably got, he's probably jacked underneath that shirt.
Probably looks amazing. Just tell him to hit the spray tan, and then you'll look like $1 million.
Yeah,
because he's got a farmer's tan.
Probably.
Yeah, I think he probably does.
All right, one more match, Steve, for night 2.
Man, dude. Okay, give me. The Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, versus the ring general Gunther.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Oof. That's good.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
All right, I got to decide whether Seth is still champ or it's Drew. We'll just have whoever's champion, whoever's challenger, regardless. Let's do Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre for that World Heavyweight Championship final match, blow-off match between the two of them.
Yeah,
whether Drew
good.
walks in as champ or Seth walks in as champ. Either scenario, Seth loses. Really sell the back and take some time off because he's been working his ass off for a number of years.
He really needs to sell the back more. That's what he needs to do. He needs to sell the back more. Absolutely. I agree with that.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Let's see here. Next question. I don't know why I put my phone down. Here we go. Let's see. Okay. David Matuszek says with Toru Yano, getting a match that got 4.5 stars from Dave Meltzer. Those other guys. What other comedy wrestler do you think should get that same kind of rating besides Orange Cassidy? Would you consider Maki Ito? There's comedic elements to what she does.
Yeah,
I would say Maki Ito. I think she's lovely. I think she's awesome.
She's great.
Oh, another name that I'd like to see get 4.5 stars from
those other guys.
Matt Cardona.
Danhausen.
Oh, that's good. Yes. He was in a movie advertisement.
Saw.
Blake
Blake Whitehouse here asks, what are your biggest hopes for TNA in 2024? AJ Styles.
Oh, well, there you go. AJ Styles. Yeah, dude, they need more of those, men's world title main event level guys. They need more than dudes who don't want it. It's I don't want to go to AEW. I don't want to go to WWE, so I'm going to go to TNA.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
I feel like all the other divisions were oh, I want to be here in TNA. It's cool. But that is oh man, WWE and AEW, they just got too many of me, so I'm going to be here in TNA instead. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. There's too much wrestling. There's a lot of wrestling. I have not. I'm going to check out their presentation. I'm going to see if it's really
me too. I'm excited to see what they do.
If they put a lot of money behind, some of their backstage segments, they're just so ill lit. And it's one thing when me and back when the Enforcer, when we used to watch that stuff and clown on it, that was fun. Yeah. But it's got its limit. I want something to look good.
Yeah. Let's see. Andre Zimpel says, which would you have a year's supply of? Long Boy chicken sandwich.
Okay.
Beef and cheddar from Arby's. Or Del Taco beef burrito.
Well, take that. The beef burrito. What?
What if it's the Cali burrito with the carne asada, the French fries?
I'd probably go with that. That's actually quality shit.
It is really good. Whatever they have it on the menu, I know.
You can kind of replicate a Long Boy chicken sandwich with some shit you get at Winco. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I couldn't do a year of chicken sandwiches. My gut doesn't take chicken that well anymore.
Yeah. But the steak, the Cali burrito from Del Taco,
it's good.
That's good. That's actually good.
It's actually really good.
Yeah.
Ty Moore here asks, what match types could you never get into regardless of who was wrestling in them? Ty Moore says, for me, it was a WWE version of the steel cage match. He says, my main gripe is the door and being able to escape to win through it. Why would you think to climb the cage when you got that door as an option? I know that it doesn't make much sense. The door is the most efficient and quickest way to escape the cage rather than climbing out.
Yeah. Yeah, those only really work when the idea is, oh, you've got to be trapped in here with me, so I want to give you pain as opposed to I give a shit about winning the match.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably the one where you got to go touch four corners and then do something else.
Oh, yeah. Any sort of match. That used to be the stipulation.
It's like a rope match, isn't it? Bull rope match or some shit?
Bull rope or strap match. That used to be one of the stipulations. You have to touch all four corners. That's silly.
Or the flag match. I don't think anybody can put on a compelling flag match.
Sicilian Crest asks, do you guys care about kayfabe rankings for wrestlers? I weirdly do care, but struggle to find ones that are regularly updated. Any ideas? So like win-loss record type things?
I like the SmackDown top 10.
Like the AEW rankings?
I like the ranking. I like the
did too.
rankings. I thought it, like you and I, whenever we talk about AEW, we'd always go back to them and be like, okay, wait a second. Because it was a good clue as to like who could be potential feuds coming up on the horizon. And on top of that, I like that they sort of made them out of like divisions. It was like, okay, well, this person, it's like, oh, well, this person's going to be going after the TNT title. That's one thing I think AEW really could focus on a bit more.
I know. Let's go
is
back
like
to those.
Divisions, like who's going for what.
Yeah. I mean, it was an easy way to justify matches. Oh, so-and-so's on a 10-match winning streak. They're number one contender now. They could challenge for the title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
You know, and sometimes just going on a serious run is a story enough in itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I kind of missed that
absolutely. Metal Pulse says, what are the chances that Brody King wins the whole Continental Classic?
Nah, probably not going to happen.
Not going to happen. It's going to be Eddie.
No, it's going to be Eddie Kingston. It's either Eddie or Mox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've got a first question here from JD. Says, what long-term storylines for Punk and Orton would be good beyond the bloodline? Long-term storylines for Punk. What if AJ leaves WWE, goes to TNA?
Mm-hmm.
So you got the Good Brothers cast adrift.
Oh, yeah.
And then you restart Straight Edge Society with Punk and Gallows. I know Serena Deeb's at AEW, but...
and then Carl Anderson can be the Straight Edge Hunter because he loves the Brewskis. You know?
Yeah.
No, I like that. That's pretty good. Yeah, that could work. Randy Orton could...
he just said he wants to break the world title record, so that could be it. He's just going after championships.
There you go. Or he could, similar to like yours, what if Orton forms his own new evolution? New Evolution.
So he'd be the Triple H spot.
Triple H would be the Triple H
Flair spot.
Yeah, but we need a wrestler in that
That's
spot.
true. Yeah.
So he'd be in the Triple H spot. Who would be? Who's
You'd have Braun Breaker in there.
Braun Breaker's a good name for that. Yeah, he could be like the Batista. And then who would be Orton?
Well, I think Braun would be like the Orton because he's the second generation wrestler.
Oh, okay.
Like Orton
then
was, you know.
Who would be Batista? First generation, but also kind of oddly old. Batista's kind of like the DDP of his era, wasn't he? He was like started.
Yeah, no, he started later. Yeah. So he's in his 50s now, isn't he, Batista?
Hey, how about this? They convinced Batista to come back to be Flair.
That would be good. That'd be good.
Batista comes back. You got Orton. You got Braun Breaker. And in the Batista role.
No, this is it, Steve. I got it. It's a missed opportunity the first time. You bring in Mark Jindrak to be the Ric Flair.
To be the Flair, yes.
Yes.
Oh, man, that's great.
Yes, you got Jindrak, you got Orton.
What's Marco Corleone doing here in WWE Zone?
Exactly. You got Braun Breaker. Who in NXT could kind of fill the role that Batista had?
Like a powerhouse guy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Von Wagner.
You got it.
Hey. Does this evolution come with like coupons for Golden Corral?
They're in the limo, you know, ready to party it up, and everybody brought like, you know, a nice bottle of champagne.
Yeah.
You know, a nice bottle of tequila or something. Then Vaughn comes to the limo. I got cosmic brownies.
Hey, I got cosmic brownies. Did you eat a bunch of these? Yeah, I got hungry on the way here.
It's mostly wrappers in the box.
Hey, Stone, are you coming in here? They're like, God, who's fucking blowing up the limo, dude? Sorry, I had so many cosmic brownies. My stomach doesn't take sugar very well. Come on, you're just beefing in this limo here.
Oh my goodness,
it's disgusting. It smells like picadillo. Anyways, that's gonna do it for the show today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you around.
Goodbye.